Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. I always like to mention that because we're here every weekday, starting at 1 p.m., going throughout the afternoon, sometimes even at 11 a.m. So lots of opportunities to catch us outside of our other news shows where we get to do a little bit of longer form segments. And while I am here in studio, sometimes we do out of the studio, and this is a segment about that. We went up to the Fort Vancouver National Historic Site there in Vancouver, Washington, just over the bridge. An amazing property if you've never been there. The actual fort is really incredible. It's a really great experience to go in there, but the grounds are huge. Outside of just that fort, there are acres upon acres of amazing parks and old historical buildings, and one thing that they are encouraging you to do now is take your dog up there for a walk. And they have a program to help encourage you with that, and that is called the Bark Ranger program. So this is something where you can go up and take your dog around. There's different stations. We're going to show you some of this during this segment, and they can earn themselves a badge. I took my dog Bowie up there a few weeks ago for this, and we're going to run this whole segment right now to give you an idea of what is going on for the Bark Ranger. And thank you so much for having us out here today. Really appreciate it here at Fort Vancouver. You know, what I really want to do, just for anybody who hasn't been here before, what is like your overview for somebody, your overview of what Fort Vancouver is?
You know, it's a really large question because we take for granted this little space that we call Fort Vancouver or here in Vancouver, Washington, and it's easy to glaze over the tremendous amount of history here at this national park. Where we're standing is the location where indigenous groups call this place home. This was a major tribal trade route. And then eventually the Hudson's Bay Company arrived, a fur trading entity for the British. And now we're standing right alongside the Vancouver Barracks. So you have all these layers of history, and within those layers of history, notable figures that would play a crucial part in the development of the United States, especially as we became a continental nation. So it's inspiring to be able to come here and to start peeling back those layers, the intrigue, the mystery, and also things that are familiar to us today. As we take for granted the things that are occurring to us today and think back in history, people that were here were probably dealing with the same things, if not familiar, to what we're experiencing and throughout our own lives.
Right, all right here on these grounds. And again, you know, easily accessible right here, it's right off of downtown Vancouver. And you know, you talk about inspiring, and we were talking to you've been working here for a while, and this is obviously, you know, you're from Vancouver, is that right?
Absolutely.
And so what does it mean for you to be working here at this place?
You know, I remember when I came here in 4th grade and we got shuffled into the fort, and just like every 4th grader, I may not have read everything. So when I came back as an adult, it was having this intriguing story that was in my own backyard, this mystery that intrigued me to come to learn more. And as I continued to learn more about the fort, about Ulysses S. Grant when he was here, when George Marshall was here, when I got to learn about the tribal groups that were here, there was more and more for me to learn about that I would only be more fascinated about. So it was having this national park right next to me, and I really didn't know much about it. So as I got a chance to work here, it has blown my mind about the tremendous parts of the history that makes this place a national historic site.
Well, you know, and I think that's one of the things here in the Northwest is, you know, compared to maybe back east, sometimes we forget. It doesn't feel like we have as much history, you know, as say like New York or something like that, but we do. And it's things like this right here that you get to actually physically, you know, experience. You can walk around in this same place as all those other people like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Well, what would you say to somebody out there who has never been here before to encourage them to come down and check this out?
You know, one thing that we've seen our visitation increase from 600,000 back in 2019 to now we have over 1 million recreational visitors. I think that in itself gives an idea for a lot of people. This is a safe place to come and recreate, a safe place to bring your families and also learn. We have 3 visitor service locations available here at Fort Vancouver, where if you're coming just to walk your dog, like our wonderful Bark Ranger program provides an interpretive program for, or You might have been one of the service members that were stationed here at the Vancouver Barracks. Or you're intrigued by aviation history. We have an aviation museum. All these things are on site for the public to come, and it really meets the multiple needs that they're looking to do. If not, if anything, just a safe place to recreate.
Yeah, to walk around. Well, one thing you just mentioned right there, the Bark Ranger program. That is something we're going to find out more. And I brought along a special guest. I know we've got somebody else we're going to be talking to too. So Aaron, thank you so much. Let's find out about Bark Rangers. Thank you for joining us here. Really appreciate this. And, you know, tell us about this Bark Ranger program.
So the first step would be to come to the visitor center and grab one of these. It's got instructions on the inside, and it's got this map, and it shows all 5 stops of the Bark Ranger program. So what you want to do is you want to walk around and go to each of these stops, scan a QR code just like this one, and it contains a short passage that talks about dogs that have been here at Fort Vancouver in the past. Now from this short passage, there's a question inside the pamphlet that you must answer, and then there's a question about your dog as well that relates to what you read on the passage. So it's supposed to be a very fun activity that relates the history of Fort Vancouver to your own dog. Once you complete the packet and you answer those questions, you bring it back to us at the visitor center, and then you'll get a stamp right here, your dog's name to certify that they're a Bark Ranger, and the date, so you can always remember when your dog came in and became a Bark Ranger.
I mean, this is such a great idea. So let me ask you this, like, how did you come up with what the stops would be? How did you decide what those were going to be?
Well, I tried it first with some Bark ambassadors. We have people who go to different national parks, and they're very used to these types of programs. So we had them come here. I had them test out the route, try different places. I wanted it to be not too long, not too short, something that could be enjoyed by everybody, which is why in order to get your certificate you only have to go to the first 3 stops, because we understand not everyone wants to walk. It's about 2 miles to go to the 5th stop and back to the visitor center. But yeah, I had input from the community, from volunteers, community partners, and I gathered all of that feedback, and that's how the program came together.
Nice. And then you have these stories that you said here, like David Douglas and Billy.
Yes.
So like what example be maybe an overview of that story?
Yeah, so David Douglas was a Scottish botanist that came here to Fort Vancouver, and he had a dog named Billy who actually helped him tremendously in his adventures. Most of his adventures through the Pacific Northwest, it was just him and his dog. His dog would help him by carrying specimens for him, by keeping him company, keeping away pests. So it shows that many years ago, people were still using dogs as their best friend and their companion through these adventures.
All right, so again, a huge thank you to Ada and Aaron for that. So Fort Vancouver National Historic Site, I will say Bowie proudly wears his Bark Ranger badge everywhere he goes. So it's something, honestly, it's pretty fun up there. And it's free to walk around there and check all of that out. So huge thank you to Fort Vancouver for having us up. And thanks for watching Fox 12 Now. We have plenty more coming up here. We're here every weekday starting at 1 p.m. We go throughout the afternoon, cover a wide range of topics, and we get to do these longer form segments and interviews. Sometimes we have deeper dives with reporters. If you ever have an idea for a segment, feel free to send me an email, fox12now, fox12now at kptv.com, and we'll see if we can make something work. But we'll take a break for right now. Talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.